Hello, welcome to the passageway from Kipling subway station to Kipling GO Transit bus station. I'm walking here to go out to Mississauga to go explore the Mississauga Transitway, York Region's Viva BRT, and if really good suburban BRT can work. Here's some history, and come with me to find out if really good BRT can work in really terrible suburbs. I just wanted to be clear, I'm saying very good infrastructure-wise. The whole point of this video is to find out if the cool infrastructure can sustain good service. So, yeah, let's do the history section now. The history of Toronto's suburban BRTs dates back to the mid-1970s, when Mississauga was looking at ways to improve transit in order to deal with traffic congestion. Proposals and studies were put forward throughout the 70s and 80s, many of which advocated for light rail combined with bus lanes on Highway 403. However, it was not until 1992 that the idea of a fully dedicated transitway was put forward. Plans for the system were elaborate, with bus-only roadways and even tunnels, but construction stalled due to the very transit-hostile provincial government of Conservative Premier Mike Harris. By the turn of the 21st century, Mississauga was getting closer to building its transitway. A renovated bus station had opened at Square One in 1997, and the 2003 election of Liberal Premier Dalton McGuinty marked a change in attitude toward transit. Around this time, York Region, just to the north of Toronto, was planning for BRT service in order to combat car dependency in the area. Remember, this was still in the era of GO Transit being almost entirely peak only, so BRT would have actually been a tangible improvement to the transit situation in York Region. In 2002, planning began, and unlike in Mississauga, the system's debut was not massively delayed. The system, called Viva, opened in September of 2005. However, calling Viva in 2005 BRT would be charitable at best. There were no bus lanes or transit signal priority, not to mention busways. However, this was not the end goal. In 2008, funding was allocated to build full-on center-median running busways called Rapidways along significant parts of the Viva network. Delays ensued, but construction on both the Viva Rapidways and finally the Mississauga Transitway began in 2011, marking somewhat of a Toronto BRT building boom. 2013 saw the first Viva Rapidway open, and by late 2014, the Mississauga Transitway's first segment was open. Expansions have continued, with the final section of the Mississauga Transitway opening in January of 2021. Viva still has significant on-street portions of their network, but the infrastructure of both of these systems is very impressive. So now, let's go explore these lines and see if they're actually any good.
We're using the underfloor bus storage. Alright, we are on the 29. I'm not sure how much of the transitway I can film since I'm a coach, not a double-decker, but I'll see you when we get to Renforth, the first station on the transitway.
This is very much a one more lane, bro. I swear, bro. One more lane, bro. I swear, we're gonna fix traffic. One more lane, bro. Highway. Also, New York plate. Hello, fellow New Yorker.
So the transitway doesn't extend to Kipling Station. It just ends near Pearson Airport. So instead, the buses take the highway. Arguably, they should extend it to Kipling, but until they do, it would be kind of useless as a tram line. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you at Renforth.
And this is the Transitway. So that is actually, I didn't realize this, but the entrance to the Transitway is just like a road off of Clinton Ave where the buses already are. And now we are on the Transitway. We're pulling into Renforth Station. That is another exit road. I will put up a text box if I can figure out what it is used for. And we are now approaching Renforth Station. Alright, so, okay. Alright, so we continued down the Mississauga Transitway. Since I was on a GO bus, most stations we passed through. The only other station we stopped at on this portion of the Transitway was Dixie, because every other station is served by just local My Way Mississauga buses. We then pulled off the Transitway back onto normal streets and pulled into the city center transit terminal, which is at the Square One Mall in quote-unquote downtown Mississauga. It's very much a suburban downtown. I think calling it a downtown is kind of generous, but it's called the city center, so I guess it's enough of a city center for Mississauga to consider one. We then continued on local roads, before merging onto Highway 403, where buses are permitted to use the shoulder, although we did not end up using it. But this is not the end of the bus-only road. We got off the highway at Erin Mills Parkway, and then went onto the other tiny section of Transitway to Winston Churchill Station on Winston Churchill Boulevard. So yeah, I'll see you there now after having ridden the entire Mississauga Transitway. Hello, welcome to Winston Churchill Station. I got the bus on that side. I've crossed over because, as I mentioned, or they may have not mentioned, I think I mentioned basically at Mississauga City Center. I'll do a map now. The GO bus does a crazy routing, and My Way buses do the normal routing, and we took the normal routing. The next GO bus, I thought I'd miss. It's running 10 minutes late, which means I can make it, and then I can experience the crazy routing, and also it's a double decker, and that's fun. The 45 is a local bus. That's another 45. I'm gonna go inside to do this segment because it is loud with a highway right next door. So yeah, the 485, you can still hear the highway through the glass. God, I hate cars. Anyway, Winston Churchill, right. It's a good station in the sense that it's a bus interchange point. I don't really get the point of this little Erin Mills to Winston Churchill section of Transitway. It feels like it would be faster to just consolidate them into one, maybe move it to a place that's not just serving single-family homes, and maybe you could walk 10 minutes to one of those high-rise towers. I just feel like right now you're not serving it very well. Maybe that's not a good shout, but I don't know. I just saw my bus get off the highway. It's going to loop around soon. So before we hop on the bus, let's rate Winston Churchill Station. I'm going to base this solely off of the station. Winston Churchill, I think, gets 7 out of 10. I would like it to be less parking, and I'd like easy access to those neighborhoods. Based off the surroundings as well, this highway's too loud. 5 max. I'd say 4. So yeah, I don't know which of those two ratings I'll put up on the screen, but I don't like this station. I don't really get the point of this western section of Transitway. It doesn't make sense to me. Alright, so I got on the GO 25 bus. Sadly, the front seat was taken, but I still was able to film a bit on the western section of the Transitway. The weird thing was, I don't exactly know what I was talking about the weird routing in Mississauga. I didn't film any weird routings, and looking on Google Maps, the routing looks normal. Maybe that's something that's changed since I filmed this in December. If you know, drop a comment. Anyway, I spent some time in Mississauga, quote-unquote city center. I feel like it's really, really, really not a city center. Because it's Canada, and Canada does weird urban planning things, there are those super high-rise towers in the midst of suburban hell, but, even though there are those super high-rise towers, it's still in suburban hell. It sort of felt like you were trying to combine dense urbanity with very undense suburban land, and you were kind of just getting a bad mix of both. I'm sure that the density is off the charts here because of all the high-rise towers, but because of all the parking lots, it's not walkable, and it doesn't really feel like a livable place. Anyway, I then hopped on a local my way bus headed down the eastern section of the Transitway because there are a couple stations there that serve absolutely nothing, and I really wanted to see why they existed. I think the worst offender is Cawthra Station, so that is where I headed. I'll see you at Cawthra Station. Thank you.
Route 107 North, Malton Express to Westwood.
To Westwood, not Malton. Okay, right. So why did we come to Cawthra? Well, because there isn't anything here. There's a parking lot. There's a fence blocking something. There's a road, and there's a field. Truly, what is the point of this station? I am being completely honest when I say, I mean, even Tomkin, one station there, it's still in the middle of nowhere, but there are like some buildings nearby. What is the point of this? Like, is the park and ride meant to be is it meant to be a park and ride? And if so, who is park and riding to a bus that only takes them to Kipling? Seriously, this is just kind of crazy. I'd also like to note that the 109 from Meadowvale nearby the 108 runs express to Kipling, so I think that's a tacit admission by my way that maybe the Transitway with this crazy sound up on 403 instead of having a Transitway there is slower than just taking the highway. Right. Well, I'm getting the next bus that way because there's nothing here. I just wanted to dock with the weirdness. There's actually nothing here. So weird. So weird. Okay. Well, it is 2:46 p.m. Is it 2? I don't think it's 2:46. The next bus I think will be the next 109. We'll take that up to Dixie and get go. But yeah, Cawthra is gonna end our final exploration stop on the Mississauga Transitway. I think this is an example of a what the were they thinking stop. Yeah, if anyone knows why this exists, please do let me know. I'm very, very curious. So I got to the My Way 109 to Dixie and changed for the Go 40 to head up to York Region to ride Viva. Except if you remember my last Canadian video, I got out off the Stovall line at Unionville to film something for this video. What was that thing? That's right, it was me riding the weird little section of the purple where it does a deviation down to Unionville, but not quite to the station, just like through Markham, and then back. So let's cut to that now, and then I'll see you at Richmond Hill to ride the rest of Viva. Alright, hello, I'm at the University Boulevard stop. So, it's just purple to Richmond H, or Richmond Hill, in 6 minutes. This is a Viva map. The pink line is gone. To show you on, the map where we're, coming up from Mississauga, which is maybe down here, up to Richmond Hill. And then we'll ride the orange, or parts of the orange. We're at here right now. This busway here is unique and interesting. The rest of the purple busway and the orange busway are most the same. The blue mostly has no busway. There's some bits down here, and the yellow is way too far away. As for how you pay, there's a Presto reader. There's also you could buy a one-ride ticket, which is very weird, and I don't see why you do that when you can pay with Presto for $1 Canadian cheaper. But I am enough of a nerd that I will pay $1 Canadian more to get a Viva ticket as a souvenir. So I'll buy that, and I'll see you getting on the bus. I think there's all the reporting. Okay, there seems to be all the reporting.
Richmond Hill Center Terminal via Enterprise.
There is all the reporting. Okay. Whoa. It's a carpeted articulated section. I've never seen them before with leany leans. It's the weirdest thing ever. Okay, these buses do have a back window. This one's a bit crusty, but I think it's clean enough to film out of. Let's film the Markham busway. Their table. Okay, no, sorry. We are sitting in the table seat, and we're filming the Markham busway there. In fact, I'll sit in them backwards too. That's fun. All right, let's film the Markham busway. Enjoy this view of the Markham busway. Also, side note, is this the only local bus in the world to have tray tables? I think it genuinely may be. Richmond Hill Center, Viva buses are coming and going. That's a go bus. There's Langstaff Go on the Richmond Hill line is here. That gets like no service. This is a very nice terminal. Viva and YRT are known for having great terminals, but terrible frequencies. So, this is our bus. Leaves in 7 minutes. You'll note, it's a 480-foot bus. And it is indeed, it's a weird little Belgian 480-foot bus. Now, the orange is just so weird, because it's buswayed from here all the way to here. Which, yeah, of course, it's a BRT route, and it has busways, right? But no, the blue, which is the most important route, arguably because it connects to the subway. Orange does too, but blue serves a much longer corridor, is only buswayed in a couple small sections. The purple is buswayed about halfway. The orange is buswayed more than halfway, and yet it gets low enough ridership for YRT to justify using these like those 480-foot buses. Also, interestingly, since this is Viva and therefore off-board fare payment, you do still have to tap off-board, but in a classic YRT terminals being nice, you actually pay in here. And I pay nothing because I have a free transfer from Go Transit. So, yeah, let's hop on this Viva Orange. It's a weird little Belgian bus. I'll give a bus tour, I guess. So first off, all the seats are facing either forward or backward, and they're all raised up. There's a weird rear window, but it's crusty. There are no tray tables, and there's no articulated section, so of course there's no carpeting on the articulated section. I think overall, the Novas are probably better suited for BRT, but yeah, this is cool. I also really like the European style front seats here that you can sit right here. They're they're Belgian buses. I do think Viva used to have more and more of these, but they got retired and replaced with more articulated buses. I am curious how crowded we'll get because we are approaching rush hour now, especially after we hit Vaughan Metropolitan Center on the one. So. Yeah, we're about to leave Richmond Hill. That was a little tour of Richmond Hill. The orange seems to be quite frequent. I'll put up the frequency on screen now. And yeah, I'll see you as we depart Richmond Hill. All right, so the Viva Orange got quite crowded, so I'm going to use this opportunity to give my thoughts on both that and on Mississauga and Viva as a whole. The Mississauga Transitway, first off, is an incredibly impressive piece of transit infrastructure, especially when you consider that it runs through, well, in industry and some suburban hell land and not much else. I do think that it would be even more useful if Mississauga densified, and also I don't really understand, the tiny western portion of the Transitway, but maybe there's a specific reason why that exists. I do hope that the Charentero Street LRT, which will create a north-south axis in Mississauga to complement the east-west one of the Transitway, I do hope that will make Mississauga, especially the city center, feel more like an actual city center and less like a glorified parking lot, although this is Canada, so there's also a good chance that it'll just be a bunch of massive high-rise towers in a sea of single-family homes. As for Viva, the infrastructure, while different, is still very impressive. I mean, it's mostly on-street busways, but they're genuine center-running busways, with the exception of downtown Markham, which is actually an off-street busway, like Mississauga. So, I mean, both systems have very impressive infrastructure, but unlike Mississauga, where the service is quite good, York Region, YRT as a whole, does not do service well. Just as an example, I took the Viva Orange out past Vaughan to Martin Grove Road, which is near the end of the Rapidway. To get back, it was actually faster. The next bus that was coming was a Brampton Zoom bus run by Brampton Transit, and it's kind of embarrassing when another agency runs better service along your own infrastructure than you do. So I think Mississauga needs to densify. York Region also kind of does, but really the main issue with YRT is that Viva needs to have better service. So yeah, with that, those are my thoughts on Toronto's suburban BRTs. To answer the question posed in the title, are they impressive? Absolutely. Is it good service? Not really. I mean, you could argue Mississauga is pretty good service, although it is through suburban hellland. But is Viva good service? No, absolutely not. I do hope that Viva will improve, though, because they do have an incredibly impressive, network. They just need to add more Rapidways, and damn it, YRT, add more service! So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.